Just a quick disclaimer, I'm not going to go in too deep about heavy lore speculations or anything of the likes. This is just a visual breakdown of this magnificent trailer, and I just want to help people to take in every single detail. You are being woken up by a lady at the very beginning. You can see that by the way the camera moves and fades from a black screen. She then seems to be the one to give you the horse too. Now, the leak and speculation that we had not too long before the actual release of the new trailer was that there would be horses with horns similar to the Yakul from Princess Mononoke by Studio Ghibli. Yes, that's the other Miyazaki. And this turned out to be true, as you can see. The Elden Ring subreddit made it a huge meme as well. It was glorious while it lasted. This lady might be some sort of firekeeper or has a similar role and purpose to the ones we know.
The Tarnished will soon return.
And the greatest thing about her personally is that she's got the voice of Yoshka, who is anyway my favorite voice actress in the whole franchise. In Elden Ring, the equivalent to the chosen undead from Dark Souls 1, the bearer of the curse from Dark Souls 2, and the ashen one or the unkindled from Dark Souls 3 seems to be the Tarnished. The lady pulls off a ring from her finger. What could that possibly mean? I mean, the game's called Elden Ring, we'll find out sooner or later. We first get a look at the World Tree. It's obviously inspired by Yggdrasil from Norse mythology. It's the world tree connecting all the worlds in which we might venture together. Its name seems to be Erd Tree. According to the official description on the website, in the lands between ruled by Queen Marika the Eternal, the Elden Ring, the source of the Erd Tree, has been shattered. You can also tell the resemblance to this particular thing from Berserk. I don't want to spoil, so I won't mention what exactly it is, though. The tree seems to be so large that you can still see it from really far away, and you can see the size of that thing in this image here. The barricades on the ground here, the war banner, and the soldier-like people suggest that there's also some kind of civil war and dispute within a certain land or between different lands. There in the background, the landmass looks like it leads towards this huge mountain-like volcano crater thingy kind of place with smoke coming out. It would be so cool if we could venture into there, but we might not. One more thing here. On the right-hand side, there's this almost invisible flagpole kind of structure with a flag flowing in the wind. What could this be? Anything interesting? Who knows? I don't know. Let me know. Notice how the further we stray from the world tree, assuming that because it's not visible in this shot anymore, the world seems to get a little bit more lifeless, gruesome, and destroyed. This might be because the Erd Tree, with the Elden Ring that's been giving everything life, is gradually decaying everything and also everyone in a radius around it. Which is why we need to repair, you could say, or bring back the Elden Ring, which has been shattered. Also another interesting find, the term tarnished, which, like I mentioned before, seems to be the equivalent to hollows. Tarnished means something like losing luster or losing brightness, which seems to fit perfectly with the idea that the life tree, I will just call it that, is gradually decaying, making all that lives lose its life force with it. But that's as deep as I'm going to go here. Now we have some wyverns flying around in the background, but also in this place there seems to be less or no gravity at all. This loss of gravity might be related to the Elden Ring being shattered, perhaps. On the stone structure in the middle, we can see the Elden Ring symbol with roots growing out of it, which is unlike anything we've seen connected to this symbol before. This supports the assumption that the Elden Ring is actively connecting the worlds with the Erd Tree. Here we see a sort of camp looking to be accommodating soldiers that might fight in the possible civil war or anything of the likes. They do look to be something similar to the hollows we know from Dark Souls. They seem to be praying, also assuming that classic hollowed pose, like the flayed up arms and crying out, head facing upwards, like they're in constant agony and pain. This shot just looks super gorgeous with the warm colors. It reminds me of Majula from Dark Souls 2. Oh, and also the armor looks pretty dope. Okay, check this out. You can summon your mount with just one button press. How great is that? This seems very quality of life, while also probably lore friendly since, you know, the mounts seem to be not regular horses, but magic creatures. We can also assume that the mounts can jump up and down terrain based on this footage here. Okay, this landscape is just so damn beautiful. I don't even know what to say. Look at all those big structures in the background. Imagine if you could explore every single one of them. It might even be possible. We'll find out. And that castle in the background, do you think we might be able to explore that? I would really hope so. Next up, we've got the Torterra Mega Evolution with a bell at the belly. Okay, seriously though, I've seen people speculate that this could be a boss, but I personally think it's more of a wandering, constantly moving creature that you might repeatedly interact with at different points in the game. This is just my take though, let me know what you think. I also think it might not be hostile, but friendly or at least neutral instead. There might even be multiple of them, each having a different purpose. Who knows? Here we see some large golem-like creatures with a huge hole in their stomach. The hooks of the cart they are probably being forced to pull, sticking through their bodies. Poor guys. It seems to be soldiers and humans enslaving them in the next shot. The player character seems to be fighting whoever is in charge of this cart, and the creatures engaging in a horse-on-horse battle, which is unlike anything we've seen in FromSoft titles before. Super exciting stuff. I can't wait. Upon entering what seems like a royal dining hall-like room, we see the recurring pattern of hands that we've seen in the first teaser trailer. Those cut-off hands are dangling from the ceiling, possibly some kind of cult-related sacrifice ritual going on here, I don't know. Maybe the royal family has something to do with this. In the next frame, there's remains of what seems to be a huge face with tentacles coming out of it at the bottom. Might even have been some sort of squid-like creature before it got enclosed into the ground. I have nothing else interesting to say about this guy other than he kinda creeps me out, but it looks cool though. We will very hopefully have some huge dark inside areas to explore like this one, full of mystery and lore. So exciting. Okay, next very important thing. Pot Man. And I cannot stress this enough. Pot Man. We must protect them at all cost. They are the greatest, the cutest, the most amazing. Amen. Here we have our classic Dark Souls style dungeon, prison, castle setting that we all love to explore. Next up, on this centipede-like enemy here, we have another instance of the recurring arms motive. I think this isn't just a parry and riposte, but something similar to a visceral attack from Bloodborne, where you don't need to necessarily land a parry, but maybe hit a weak spot of the enemy with a special attack, perhaps. Guys, just look at this building! Ah! I can't! It's just too pretty. This gentleman here definitely looks like a boss. He's got some beast-like features. If you look at his hairy legs and werewolf-like feet. He's also got a scorpion tail, making him some sort of chimera, possibly. He knows how to use spells and fluently goes over into melee combat too. It just looks like such an exciting and unique fighting style. I can't wait to see this in action. We also have another spell of a magic hammer. So cool. And obviously this is our first instance of the classic Dark Souls style combat with dodge rolls seen in the trailer. Just like we know, love, and well, happily expected, didn't we? Elden Ring is nothing else but big Dark Souls after all. Also, the player's awesome magic sword spell, just so damn cool. This breathtaking shot of the player galloping towards the Erd-tree and then the chilling details of the corpses dangling from the ceiling. Classic From Software stuff right there. Okay, about this next bit. I think this is definitely some quality of life stuff with you being able to jump up large cliffs instead of having to go all around. But to be honest, From Software isn't all too famous about their games being very quality of life. So there might be something else to this. Maybe an element in a boss fight? Who knows? In the next shot, we see the player character jumping off their mount, which then disappears as they jump onto a horde of enemies. This looks like a really cool, smooth, and seamless transition between exploration and combat. I like that a lot. We've got really cool and complex looking weapon arts that we will be able to use against our enemies. I mean, just take a look at this sick backflip. Do I even need to say anything about this? Just so damn gorgeous. This also suggests that there will be a day and night cycle, which has been rumored heavily before. Alright, Mr. Wolf Knight. Guts? Anyone? Artorias? Kind of like a fusion between the two, except it's got an actual wolf head and is howling. I can't wait to find out what role this guy is going to have. Maybe an NPC? Hopefully a badass boss. Furthermore, we witness the changing weather as well, as it's raining here. Nice. This is likely going to be the way we summon other players online. The PvP looks fantastic to me already, and let's hope it will be. Assuming this guy that the player and his friend are fighting is another player. Let's hope Elden Ring will have a very fleshed out, balanced PvP, keeping the game alive for a long time past its initial release date, even after the first hype dies out. Okay, here comes my favorite part of the trailer. This absolutely badass, huge dragon going full Gwyn mode, with the lightning spear spell, except he rips it straight out of the sky and it's also red. It seems like this will be a boss fight on our mount, which has also been rumored, actually I think maybe even confirmed to be in the game a while ago. Okay, and then horse double jump. What the Miyazaki? Thank you. I never knew I needed this until now. This might be a semi-gimmick fight, who knows? It might also have some freedom of thought and or movement in it. Just please, a bit more interesting than Dragon God and Demon Souls. Thanks. Okay, listen. Furry Gale. You see it? Honestly, this guy just looks like he might easily become my favorite boss. Gale is my favorite Dark Souls boss, and this dude definitely reminds me of him. The way he moves, the color scheme, and of course his greatsword looks very much alike Gale's. Also, at the end here, you can see the player jump to dodge a low sweep attack. A mechanic that we know from Sekiro. Super excited to have that implemented into Elden Ring. And now, finally, we see the red-haired Valkyrie from the first trailer. She has been undoubtedly the most iconic symbol and trademark for Elden Ring for 2 years until now, and I have to say I am definitely not disappointed in that she is a boss. I did originally expect her to be an NPC or something similar. As you can see, she can fling the player upwards and impale them with such grace. Oh man, I honestly wouldn't mind if that were me. And of course we get the iconic shot of her attaching her arm. Thank you for the attention to detail and the reference to the first trailer, Miyazaki. Also, on the side of her face, she seems to be burned or infected with some kind of disease that managed to rot or burn away half of her face. Very intriguing. I bet her backstory will be very tragic. Vati, I'm already waiting for the prepare to cry. The hand in the next shot seems to be petting a dead dragon's head from what it looks like. But we can see later on at the very last shot of the trailer that this dragon head is in fact an arm of this man. More of this later in a bit though. This man seems to be the same guy from the beginning of the first trailer. The hair and the crown matches up for sure. In the first trailer we saw all those hands coming up from behind him. And now we see those hands belong to him all along. They are literally part of him. Next to his gigantic axe, his arms also seem to be able to wield their own weapons. This might open up some seriously interesting new fight mechanics, although it might also just be a pure design feature. Judging by his crown, he might be a king or at least a member of the royal family, it seems. Very excited to see how exactly the lore plays out into that direction and what role that royal family might be playing. Also, just look at how freaking massive this guy is. Very intimidating. I love it. Looking down, we can also spot lots of different legs on his body too. I can only assume he must have consumed lots of humans in some way to gain a body of this size and this many limbs. Very intriguing. It's possible he even was created just by fusing these corpses together. Who knows? The next guy seems to be a boss as well, sucking you in with a powerful spell to then smash you down with his gigantic ultra greatsword. I definitely love the design on this one. He looks unique and memorable. Besides the first dragon fight we saw on our horse, there might be more instances where we will be facing dragons or wyverns like this one in the open world, kind of like roaming bosses or mini-bosses, or maybe just obstacles that we need to just get out alive, much like in Dark Souls. Okay, this guy here looks a lot like Smo, except he's got a big freaking pot on his head and spewing fire, I guess. He's also wielding a great hammer, much like our beloved executioner from Dark Souls. Now it's just shot after shot we're being blasted with incredible boss designs. Look at this massive towering giant. The very first frame here, it seems like the player just got blasted with a rock, as they seem to have just blocked something with their shield and then the debris flying away from it. His weapon also looks super interesting, like a double-sided stone axe or something of the sort. Might be a gimmick fight, much like Yorm, but it might also not be, to our surprise. Can't wait to find out. Now, this is where it gets Bloodborne-y. This Gothic-style cathedral very much makes me feel like I'm teleported right back to Yharnam. Except it seems to be extra spooky. Look at those blue shimmering lights floating around. I could imagine this having similar spooky enemies like Latria from Demon's Souls, Upper Cathedral Ward, or Canehurst Castle from Bloodborne. It seems like we're now entering this cathedral, sneaking even. I'm sure this will be a mechanic similar to Sekiro's. Hopefully there will be some kind of stealth system too. That will give the player so many different ways of approaching combat depending on your playstyle. Hell, there might even be some areas that require you to sneak, like right here, where the player launches a surprise attack from behind on those unknowing enemies. Judging by these guys' appearance, they seem to be some sort of magic scholars. So this cathedral might be something like a magic school or academy, or once was. Fitting, because the shot before showed these scholar-looking guys, we are presented an amazing and powerful-looking spell similar to the Soul Stream we know from Dark Souls 3. Launching it at what looks to be one of those golem-like creatures we saw pulling a cart earlier. But this time, it's not enslaved, and it's even got a weapon. Next up, this super spooky ghost deer-like creature just gives me shivers down my spine. It seems to be a boss fight as well. Many incredibly intriguing boss designs so far. I can barely contain myself. And looking at the ground, you can see tiny little deer spirits. Kinda cute, also kinda terrifying at the same time. And the player is wielding claws. Very underrated weapon type. I hope it gets some really cool and unique moveset in Elden Ring. This shot of the player kneeling before an NPC leads me to believe that this might be us joining a covenant, much like in Dark Souls. Now it's getting spicy. This seems to be some sort of throne room, although it's only a small chair, so I might be wrong. However, this might very well be Queen Marika that FromSoft mentioned on their official page. Citing them again, in the lands between ruled by Queen Marika the Eternal, the Elden Ring, the source of the Earth Tree, has been shattered. And she seems to have a personal bodyguard, much like Garl Vinland is to Lady Estrella in Demon's Souls. Those two might very well be NPCs, but I could also see them as a boss fight, a duo even. Next shot, this person seemingly drowning in paperwork, probably trying to figure out what the hell is going on in this world. Might be an NPC close to madness, desperately trying to find answers, although this could possibly be the player character too in a sort of special cutscene. Next scene, switch to giant creepy ass hand. Oh, and it has rings around one of the fingers. Next, we realize that this creepy hand has just gotten even creepier, revealing even more fingers than anyone would be comfortable with. Yeah, there really seems to be a leitmotif going on here. Hands! Now, big fire-spewing masked cart, I guess, coming right at the player. I wonder if this could be some sort of mini-boss, boss, or just an obstacle for which you need to figure out a way past. Anyway, it looks badass. Now we see an eye with what definitely is a Sharingan. No doubt about that. No further questions needed. Thanks. Then we get a very handsome bearded lad looking at us from an angle above. I bet he wants to be friends with us. You can see the classic Viking style beard here. And guess what? Another hand. Who would have thought? This time it glows though, and it's also huge, and it's grabbing a naked man. This could very well be the player character being forced into some sort of ritual. On the next shot, the bitrate kinda dies, but from what we can see, it might be another boss, an armored man with wings. So exciting. And then we meet Mr. Many Hands again, clearly seeing some mid-boss fight footage, and all I have to say is that it just looks so incredible that it leaves me speechless. From the movements, the flow of the fight, to the design of the area filled with the graves of the people he likely might have consumed or killed. It's just so From Software, isn't it? And now, the final shot before the Elden Ring logo finally hits.
Brandish the Elden Ring. For all of us.
The player lunges at the boss, the music and everything. Oh man, I can't wait to finally play this game. We get one last glimpse at Mr. Handsman and see, as I mentioned before, one of his arms is a dragon head. So he did not only supposedly consume humans, he also did the same with a dragon to achieve this kind of power. Maybe, I'm just speculating though. And then, to top it all off, the final last shot of him breathing fire into the air with his dragon arm is just the absolute climax of the trailer. Everything fits in so well, the build-up and the music, and this is truly the perfect final shot for this masterpiece of a trailer. Alright, that was it for this video. I want to thank you for making it this far if you've watched the entire video. It means a lot to me, thank you. And it would also be amazing if you could subscribe to my channel, because I'm planning on making Elden Ring guides in the future, and I've made lots of Dark Souls and Demon's Souls guides before too. You can also catch me live on Twitch most days, and I would appreciate it if you would leave me a comment and just tell me about your lore speculations or anything that you have. And I'll hopefully see you in the that was my cat. See you in the next video. Bye! I think this isn't just a parry and riposte, but something similar to a visceral Ladies and gentlemen, cat.